Welcome to episode 268 of the Board Game BBQ podcast, brought to you by Advent Games and our Patreons. I'm here today with Dana. Dana, how's it going?
Good, thanks, Lauren. I think I've got the giggles today. I'm just going to be giggling all episode. I can't help it.
Oh, that's all right. We love a bit of a giggle. We've also got Adrian here. Adrian, how's it going, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm fully, back into normal podcasts. No live shows, no running around packs, no drinking vast amounts of 196 double lemons. Back.
Unofficial sponsor of the Board Game BBQ podcast.
Yeah, that's right. No, it's nice to be back actually and doing a normal pod because it's been a lot of live shows recently and a lot of different events and different vibes. It's nice to just be sitting in my room. I actually turned the lights out as well, so it's like dark and mystical. It's kind of super focus mode. So, yeah.
It's hard being a celebrity, isn't it, Adrian?
Well, I wouldn't know. So, I don't know. Is it? You tell me. Your daughter thinks you're a celebrity.
You would have thought you're a celebrity the way you were, singing away in South by Southwest.
Right. I will sing any of the Disney tunes. There's a reason why I did top 10 Disney songs of all time for a Patreon episode because they're just bangers. They're so good.
Oh, I've got to have words with you about that, Adrian, because there are some egregious missed opportunities songs that were left off that list.
Yeah. I have actually changed it already. I took 2 out and swapped 2 in. But we'll talk about that later, another time for a Patreon in the future.
Alrighty. Well, Dana, what have you been playing recently?
I'm actually really excited because I've been playing quite a few good games lately. I was very lucky to be able to head over to Def's we're recording this on Sunday, so Saturday. I was able to head over to Def's and I've never been over to his house before. And he gave me his address. And of course I got lost because I'm trying to look at my phone, which I'm not meant to be touching and all those things. And I'm in the right street and I look at down the street and I immediately can see that it's his house. There's this enormous white glowing statue of a naked man. And when I get there, I realise it's Vital. No, it was Vital Lacerda. It's a giant statue and it's like a fountain. And there's one stream of water coming out of a particular hole of you know what.
Please say his mouth. Please.
Yeah, it's his mouth. No, I'm just kidding. But he did tell me that's how to find his house. But,
fair enough.
No, but I was very, very lucky to be able to go over to his house. And I must say, I'm giving a plug for Def because he's such a good teacher. He's so good at teaching games. I learn a lot from just having him teach me games. I was able to play Carnegie and Vinhos. Those games were just fantastic. I need to play them again before I talk about them because they're quite complex, although Vinhos was fine, but Carnegie sort of hurt my brain a little bit. The game that I actually want to talk about today is Foodie Forest. Lauren, have you had a chance to play Foodie Forest yet?
I have not. We were afflicted by the super spreader event that was South by Southwest, so we've been hunkered at home sick. So I have got a copy sitting on my shelf, but I've not played it yet. So yeah, tell us about it.
I was able to get a copy of this game, and for those who don't know about Foodie Forest, it's actually a remake of a game that was called...
Is it Too Many Cooks?
That's it, Too Many Cooks. Thank you. And it's a trick-taking game, which I love trick-taking games. So in this game, you have a hand of cards, and the numbers on the cards are important because as you're playing cards, if the pot, because you're making soup, so it's forest soup, so you're making bug soup, fruit soup, mushroom soup, and I think it's trash soup. And this game is actually perfect for Seinfeld lovers because you make all those soup Nazi comments like no soup for you and bread, $3, that kind of thing. Anyway, we're big Seinfeld watchers. But anyway, it's really great because the person who wins the trick is the person who goes in numbers over 10 or over. So, for example, if someone plays a 1, the next person plays a 2, that person has to announce the soup is now 3. And then someone else puts a card on and, for example, it's a 4, that person announces the soup is now 7. And you can play a 0 and reset the soup clock. How you score points is you're trying to make a specific soup. So you would have nominated, I'm trying to make fruit soup. So you're trying to get as many fruit cards into your pot and trying to win the pot that has as many fruit cards. But you don't want trash cards. And in the meantime, people are trying to throw trash cards in there and you're losing points as a result of that. It's such a good game. I love this game as well because it's 2 to 5 players. It really upsets me when I see a game and it's only 2 to 4, but it's 2 to 5 as well, which means that my whole family can play.
Especially with one of those smaller trick-taking games. Like, it's way more important that they do go to 5 because there are bigger families and bigger groups of friends. Many of those trick-taker games, a lot of them do go to 5, but when they go to 4, it can be a bit of a like, we can't fit the last person in. It's, move on. We'll just play archaeology or high society or something instead. So, yeah.
And so it's played over 5 rounds. So we'll probably finish it in 20 minutes, half an hour. If you know, that's if you know the rules. You probably finish it in that time. But it's a different way of thinking. Normally you're playing one card and you're winning a trick with the highest card. So this is just a slightly different way of thinking because when I was playing with my daughter, I have to tell you, this plays well at 2, a 2-player trick-taking game. It plays really well at 2. My daughter kept screwing me by always ending the pot at 9. And, of course, I have to play something. I don't have a 0, so I always got stuck with this pot and of this pot of soup that I didn't want. It is really, really great. I just absolutely loved it, and I'd highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. I was so grateful to be able to play it. So nice. I have been playing that.
Nice.
And have I got time to talk about another one, or is that too much?
I've got a question first, actually.
Go, question.
We move on because, people want to get to know you guys a little bit more because you're, the new kids on the block. So I'll start with you, Dana. Some thing has been spoken about the sniffing of the games and that how you have to keep sniffing the games because that's your thing. What happens if you've got a cold? Will you wait and not open it so you can savor the flavor, or will you just still open it if you've got a cold?
I think I would wait. I don't remember a time when I've had a cold, but I think I would wait. Actually, someone, I had a birthday party today with some gaming friends, and she brought a game over and she said, "Smell it, Dana. I haven't even punched it." Oh, it was so good.
Is there anything else that you smell?
What a tagline.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you sniff and go, "Oh yeah, got to sniff this"?
I'm just trying to think if I sniff things. Lego, probably.
What? It's plastic.
That's just plastic.
I know, but
it's so neutral.
Anyway.
That's all right.
Go and sniff it and then get back to me.
I got some Lego. I'll go have a crack and I'll let you know.
I don't know. Some people have got very strong senses. Mine is smell.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Mine's hearing.
Yeah. Next.
Well, you and me going to go out digging for truffles then.
Yeah, that's it. So sorry, Dana, what was the other game you want to talk about?
Oh, 3 Ring Circus by De Vere. I've only played it once, and I've played it myself two-handed, but I really enjoyed this game. It's about you're a low-level circus and you're trying to make money and make your circus bigger and more successful. And so what you're doing is you're hiring different artists, and it's really based on really old style circus performers. Think like early century circus performers where you've got the bearded lady and things like that. Those kind of circus performers. And so you're hiring various different animals or circus performers, and those performers will give you points based on where you perform. It's on the map of the United States, and so you're traveling around the United States earning money, earning fame points, which I think are the victory points, by hiring, certain artists. And it's really good, and the components are great. The art is really good. It's beautiful. I have heard other people say, the theme doesn't come through, but certainly the people that I've played with, we all felt that it was quite thematic, like your little pieces, a little circus tents.
I find that De Vere do make solid games, right? They made Bitoku. That was phenomenal. Like, mechanically, a fantastic game. I don't think they have many games that are, like, not great. Do you know what I mean? They always make something that's pretty high quality mechanically and thematically. I haven't... This thing just seemed to come from nowhere. So is this like a Kickstarter, or was this something that you just bought retail? Because I don't have a clue about this game other than the pictures I've seen recently.
I read about it when I was looking at pre-Essen releases and things like that. It was coming up a lot in the Board Game Geek hotness, which I use just to research games, really.
Yeah.
And so it came up on there. I think even Think a Thema have spoken about it. But I must admit, if anything of De Vere comes out, I look at it. I really do enjoy a lot of their games. And I'm going to be talking about another one in the sizzle as well.
Yeah, nice.
So it's a really beautiful game, mid-weight game. It's got a bit of area control and tableau building. It's a really lovely game, and I'd highly recommend that as well.
I really like the art style of it. It's exceptionally charming.
It is charming, baby.
Yeah, I do like the look of it.
I think it's the same artist as Bitoku.
Is it?
Oh, is it?
Wow, it's so different.
Yeah.
Looking.
It's so different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected that at all. So, yeah, no, it's fantastic. So
I think actually, that Kickstarter Redwood?
Yes.
That has the cover with the camera and all the trees and animals coming out. I think same artist as well.
Oh, wow.
They've
Very cool.
been doing some great games. Yeah, really good.
So we actually all played a game together at South by Southwest, and I feel like the other guys maybe didn't talk about it as much, but I would like to talk about it with both of you just to get your opinions on Veiled Fate. I actually really enjoyed the first round of that game. For those who don't know, it's like a deduction game, right? We're trying to figure out whose team we are on. We played it with 7 people, and I found myself a little bit stuck at the start, to be honest. There's quite a lot of stuff going on. And then once we started to move, it was very easy. Would you agree with that so far? Like, once it started to roll, it was simple. Like, it was not hard at all.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think the Teach is tricky because it's not really like any game.
Correct.
That I'd played before, at least, yeah.
Super. And as well, when you're hiding roles from each other and stuff, it's always hard to explain the nuances and things behind those kind of mechanics until you start to experience them. I found myself in the first couple of rounds, I thought it was great. But by the last round, because I knew Lauren was on my side at this point, and I knew Connor and Mitch were together. I didn't know about Jules, Dan, and Dana. I couldn't really figure that out 100%. It could have been Jules and Dan, or it could have been Dana and Dan. But I felt like because we all sat in those positions, it, like Connor said in the previous time that he was able to go bop bop, like he was able to do his actions, set it all up, then Mitch was able to knock it all down. So for me, I felt that affected the game. I think that if it went one round shorter and we still had that ambiguity, is that what you say? Ambiguity, where we don't really quite know who's on each other's team. As soon as we know, I felt like the game it lost itself for me. How did you guys feel about the game?
What I thought was interesting was that wasn't necessarily advantageous to try hide which god you aligned yourself with. I think the build up of the game and the cadence of the game really focuses on trying to work out where everyone's allegiances are, but not trying to do anything that makes it too obvious, because there are a few of those, neutral gods floating around. But ultimately, I felt like it was just better for me to do a really brazen move that hugely benefited my god and made it really obvious to my partner who I was aligned with, because then we could work collaboratively in a more kind of obvious way. I definitely agree that seating order makes a huge difference. If you're sat next to the person you're in a team with, that's super OP because you can kind of combo actions. I don't know how much that changes with different player counts. I definitely thought there are a lot of really interesting things in the game. And I agree, when I didn't really know who I was aligned with, it was really cool. I still think the game had some really big moments at the end.
100% it did. I agree.
That vote coming down to a draw was nuts.
Yeah.
Especially because Dan and Dana had just trashed their hands in to just add some random cards to the vote. It was really, really cool. So I still thought the game had some real highs, which I really like in a game, like really memorable moments. But I agree, there were some little niggles I had with it. What did you think about the game, Dana?
Well, I can tell you now that 3 people in that game, and one of them was me, had no idea who they were aligned with. So, and we happened to be aligned with each other, 2 of us. And I had no clue about anything. I was really trying. And I remember Lauren, I think in the first round, saying, I know who everybody is, and I'm writing it down in my phone.
Yeah, when Lauren did that, I was like, are you sure?
Seriously?
Yeah, same.
I will say, I was pretty confident, but I wanted to write down my guesses so that I couldn't, obviously, fudge it. But I did think initially, Dana, that you were on my team because you did something to help the Green God. And I was like, that's it. Let's go, Dana. And I think it was about 20, 30 minutes after that I think when I did that really brazen move, Adrian, and you were like, right, here we go.
Yeah, I realized you were on my team. Yeah, it was good. I liked all that bit and figuring out who each other... I'm trying to explain the game, but I haven't explained it. But essentially, at the start of the game, we're all given 7 cards, right? And there are 4 gods among the 7 cards. So essentially, one player is solo by himself. At the end of the game, he gets some bonus victory points because he played the game, or he or she played the game by themselves. And then everyone else is in sets of 2. So you're trying to figure out whose team you're on. It was more fun trying to figure out who was on whose team than it was when I knew. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really enjoyed that bit about the game. I'm like, who the hell is on my team? And yeah, all looking around the table at each other and people taking these weird actions and stuff. But it was, I really enjoyed it, but I feel like it needed, I don't know, like, the hard thing is when it's me and Laura next to each other and Mitch and Connor next to each other, we can just stack these actions up massively. So we were in a race for the lead. I felt that let the game down a little bit, but hey, it's only the first ever play. It probably wouldn't happen again for a long time. And I would play it again in a heartbeat. Like I would play it just to see what happens next time. But yeah, it's got some seriously interesting mechanics and games that I'm actually enjoying more interactive games these days as well. It's I'm swinging towards more of those type of games, especially in that environment. I think the environment really makes a huge difference to the type of game I want to play. Because if I'm at home or I'm at Defs or I'm at wherever and we're just playing a game, I'd love to play something big, heavy, takes 4 hours to play it, mid-max, figure out all this puzzle. But in that kind of environment, you want something that's very social, very, lots of yelling. I mean, like Connor said in that game of Bristol, his watch broke and said, you've gone above 100 decibels, don't do this for prolonged periods of time, because that was what that atmosphere was like. It was just chaos. Yeah, I think Veiled Fate was great. I'd like to try it again, but I did find some issues with the journey. So
if I were playing a deduction style game, which I strongly dislike, I would say that Veiled Fate would be one that I would prefer to play over other deduction games. I would rather do something like that. It wasn't, okay, I'm just going to get it out there. In deduction games, I'm really dumb. I'm just super dumb. It just is, there's nothing else to say. But I didn't feel as dumb I didn't feel
Fair
quite
comment.
as dumb in that game.
What about
so it was less dumbing.
Yeah.
I guess that's why Bristol's good though, right? Because
Yes.
that feeling of, wait, who are you? Who are you aligned with? What are your intentions? Distilled. It's that feeling distilled for the entire game.
Yes.
Really simple mechanics.
And we got to play that together,
that
which
part's
was
really
great.
special.
Like I really enjoyed playing that together. That was the breaking Connor's watch moment. The amount of times that game brings great atmosphere, time and time and time again. But it's really nice to play it with people that you know. Do you know what I mean? Like I've played it a lot with people that I don't know so well, or there's like 4 people that I know and 5 people that I don't. And it was just nice to play that, all together in that environment. And I really was like mad at Lauren a lot in that game. I was giving her lots of abuse because like she just could roll red rats like it was no one's business. It was very upsetting. And at one point,
I don't know what
Lauren rolled she rolled 5 red rats to start with, which obviously screws you over in that game, right? And I'm not on Lauren's team at this point. I'm not in her cart. And then when I roll mine, I rolled it and I got what I wanted. And then Mitch next to me is in Lauren's cart. And I said, it's all okay as long as you don't roll 2 red rats, to which he rolled 2 red rats straight away, instantaneously. And I was like, I shouldn't have said anything. It's only because he said it, it happened. But is that your first experience at that game as well? That was the first time you guys have played that?
That game, yeah. I played a bunch of social deduction, but that one, it definitely leans on the sillier side of social deduction games for sure, which I think when you go into the silly side, which is just inherently a bit more social, it really needs to be with people you're kind of familiar with. Yeah. I think there are other social deduction games that are maybe a bit more structured, or I guess give you more to go off rather than just kind of free form.
I was actually quite nervous playing that first game of Bristol because I think that was the first game we played when I came to South by Southwest. So at that time I had not met, like Connor, Dan in person at that point. I hadn't met them before. So I was actually, although I've spoken to you online, I was actually quite nervous about playing the game because it was a deduction game, but it ended up going quite well.
If you're looking for a new board game, you need to check out adventgames.com.au. They have a great range of games, including pre-orders and hot new games. Anything you could be looking for will be there at Advent. Dean provides excellent customer service that is second to none, and he's always keen to support the Australian board game community through events, game days, and even through sponsoring a podcast. So head over to adventgames.com.au today. That's adventgames.com.au.
Alrighty, let's get into some sizzles. Adrian, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I do actually, because I was very luckily enough to be reached out to. None of that was in English. I sound like Yoda. What was that? Like, I start that sentence again. I'm not going to edit it out. I don't care. But I was very lucky to be, I still can't do it. I need more 196s. This is the problem. Sponsor, get on it. Send me more. Yeah. I was very luckily enough to be sent a copy of, decks of Lorcana. So a listener from the UK reached out and said, hey, kind of like a bit of a crack dealer, want some Lorcana, I give you some Lorcana. And I was like, yeah, give me that. We made a deal and he shipped it out here, and that was amazing. So grateful. Absolute legends in our Discord. So yeah, thanks very much for that. It was a very interesting experience. And getting to play that game with Finn a couple of times has been really interesting as well. Lorcana is the card game Magic the Gathering rival in the Disney kind of universe, right? Everyone has spoken about this. There's lots of hype around it. It's sold out in the whole of the US and the whole of the UK. You can't get it for love nor money. And the hype is massive around the product. And I think that's because they probably estimated that they needed to sell, let's say, 1 million copies, and then they just produced 800,000 copies just to, build that hype because it's sold out everywhere. So when stuff's sold out, you just want it more. You're like, I want the thing. Why? I need the thing now. And that's how I ended up in this position. But it's a really interesting card game in the fact that you're doing all this sort of deck construction stuff. Just like in Magic the Gathering, there's limitations to what you can and can't have. You can, however, in this have 60 cards minimum. I believe that's the same in Magic, up to any amount that you can basically put in the deck that you find is actually worth it. There's 6 pools of ink, and you choose only 2 of those. You can't choose one like in Magic the Gathering. You can't just pick the one school of magic. In this, you have to combine 2, which is really interesting because I've been with the decks that I've got, essentially, which I have is 6 decks and 3 booster packs. I've been able to go, oh, okay, well, I'm going to mix the amethyst with the steel, put that together, see what combos come out. I'm going to mix amber with emerald, put those together, see what cards and how the game plays out. Essentially in the game, because it's Disney and they don't want you fighting each other too much because they don't like that, you're trying to gather lore by adventuring. And it's got a victory point track that goes to 20. And essentially you're trying to get to 20 points before the other player gets to 20 points. It's interesting because I have only played Magic a couple of times. It never clicked with me. It was fine. I enjoyed it. But because Lorcana, I know I'm a sellout, but so be it. But because it's got that Disney element, those cards and those characters, it's just more interesting for me personally. Like, I like that IP. Like, I enjoy that stuff. I enjoy being able to sing songs in the game as well. Like, I'm busting out Hakuna Matata, healing up all my squad, and then able to keep going.
Yeah, you're obviously a huge Disney fan, Adrian. How kind of much is the theme of Disney integrated into the cards in the game itself, or does it feel just kind of like a lick of paint?
No, it definitely doesn't feel like a lick of paint. It's really clever. Some of the mechanics in it linked to some of those cards, they mimic what that character would do or how would act. Cool. As an example, the chameleon, which I can't remember his name for the life of me at the moment. I believe he's on The Princess and the Frog. You can attack him if he's in front of you, and I play the chameleon. It's my turn. I play him out in front of me by tapping certain cards, and I'll explain how that works in a second. But if I have the chameleon out, anyone can attack him when he's tapped, as long as I don't have another hero next to him. If I have a hero next to him, because there's a hero next to the chameleon, he becomes elusive and turns invisible because there's someone close by, and a chameleon tries to hide itself from others. So even just little things like that I found really interesting. And I played it with a couple of people who've played a lot of Magic, including Connor and a couple of other people. And they've actually said, this game is way better than it deserves to be. Like, they thought it was just going to be smash it out. Who cares? Just, rake in the money, chuck it out, get as many cards and decks and things out as you can to make bank. But it's actually a good game in there. I'll explain quickly for those who aren't aware of the Magic system, but in Magic the Gathering, you draw cards from your deck, and inside that, there's basically a resource. I think it's called mana, and you play that in front of you face up, and on your turn, you exert or tap or exhaust the mana by turning it sideways, and that allows you, depending on how much mana you have in front of you, to play certain cards. If you tap 5 cards in front of you, turning them sideways on your turn, you can play a card of a value of 5. The interesting thing about Lorcana is all of your cards that you have in your hand have a symbol in the top left, and a lot of them you're able to discard those as ink. You can only discard 1 card per turn unless you have some other cards that allow you to do more, which is due to powers and different cards that interact with the game. Essentially, you can look at your hand of cards and go, well, I'm never going to be able to put Maui out because he costs 8 ink and it's the start of the game and I've got no ink in front of me. So you show the other player the card that you're going to discard. They get to look, he's discarding a Maui, so I know there's only a couple more Mauis in that deck because he's already got rid of it. And then you turn it face down in front of you, and on the back there's an ink symbol, and that then becomes your resource. So I really liked that push and pull mechanic of what cards do I need to discard now? What cards do I want to keep for the middle part of the game, because I don't want to, drawing cards out. Sometimes it's a real challenge in those types of card games where you're just looking for those special cards. But if I already discarded it and put it down and use it as ink, I know the probability of that card coming out is now greatly dropped, because you can only have a maximum of 4 of that card in your deck. So if I take one out, I've dropped by 25% of even, having one in there. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it, as opposed to just drawing mana and just placing mana like in Magic the Gathering. Having that decision space of, man, do I just dump these smaller, lower cards now, or these healing cards now, or what am I going to play with now and get rid of now to boost my engine for the mid game?
I'm just curious, because I have never played anything like that before. I wouldn't even have a clue where to go to get anything like that. Is it something that Finn can play?
Yes, it's like Magic the Gathering, which I've heard be called Keywords the card game, because it's just lots of keywords on it. All the cards, they just describe exactly what they do on the cards, right? So for as an example, when you've got like Mickey Mouse and you need to attack somebody, he has 3 health and he does 3 damage. So if I tap Mickey by turning him sideways, basically I can then attack the other player's tapped cards in front of me, or Mickey will have a couple of symbols on the side, which is the lore symbol. And that will say, if you tap Mickey to do an adventure, that's how many lore or victory points you'll get during the game. That's also a push and pull, because it's like, hang on a second, he's got these 3 cards here, and if he gets out this particular princess, she buffs all of the other princesses. So I need to start attacking them to lower down their ability to get lore quicker than I can get lore. And that's also interesting, because then it becomes like, do I attack now, or do I just keep tapping for lore now and draw more cards? Yeah, I really, really found it really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I've played it 20 plus times. I think it's a really solid game. My only thing is I have never collected these card collection games, right, where you're just busting packs. And I mean, it came with 3 booster packs, and I had a great time streaming them on the Discord and opening them up. And I got some shiny ones and some legendaries, because they have like these little symbols at the bottom that tell you their rarity. And some of the cards do different abilities. They do these different attacks. And there is almost, for me as a non-collector, I can see the pay to win strategy in those types of games just from these boosters. Would I buy more? I'd probably just buy like core boxes to enjoy with the family, but I don't see me collecting this like a fiend.
Yeah, I definitely wonder about the kind of TCG element of it, how much it will be like Magic in that how important the deck construction is, but also how important is it to just have the best, most expensive cards?
Yeah.
But I guess if you're playing the game kind of not competitively, but just to enjoy some Disney immersion, then it's probably fine. Do you feel like it can be played at kind of that casual level?
100%. That's the only level I know. And I've enjoyed every game I've played of it, and I've enjoyed sharing it with people. And then even people at PAX have gone, is that Lorcana? And I've been like, oh, yeah, that is. And they're like, oh, my God, can I check the cards out? And they're just rummaging through the decks, looking at all the cards and getting all excited. So it does have that. I think that some people would take it to that next level. I could see that happening. And I think that we have to remember that Magic the Gathering is old, man. It's old. And they started somewhere. So is this. I feel that Disney has that money, that Disney mousy mouse money to keep this thing going. It just depends on how popular the following seasons are. If this season 1 is just a big sellout, then season 2 is just a huge flop and it dies off, maybe it'll just be a nothing thing and it was just around for a bit. But if it gets legs on it, they can introduce so much to it. Just like Magic. Magic started very basic, a lot more basic than it is now, and it's built and grown and changed, and they've added Commander or whatever it is, and all these other different versions and modes that you can play. And I can see that happening with Lorcana. Like, I don't see why not.
Yeah, some of those cards look amazing. I've had my eye on this one shiny Winnie the Pooh. and it's like Winnie the Pooh on this mound of honey with like a wizard's robe and hat. Just some of the cards, the art, the kind of fantastical imaginations of these characters is really, really neat.
I do love as well on the bottom. Sorry, on the bottom of all the cards, it does tell you the artist name. So you have all the different artists that you can look up, and I've looked a bunch of them up, and they do some fantastic like art. So
I'm trying not to listen to this because I can't have another addiction. I just can't do it. I've already got too many. I've got board games under the bed. I just can't do it. It sounds so good because I love Disney as well. It sounds fantastic, but I'm trying not to listen to you.
I'll definitely bring it with me, and I'll show it to you and see what you think. But
Adrian.
for me, like I feel I won't be buying boosters and things like that unless Finn got into it massively. But I just don't see it. But the game itself, I just want to say, is a very solid game. It's really fun, really interesting. If you love Disney, you will love this game. If you like card play and, a bit of hand management as well, like trying to ditch out which cards of resources, which ones you want to keep for later. Like it's really interesting. I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate it getting sent out. And massive thanks for that. So it was Lorcana.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Adrian. Well, I might jump over to you now, Dana. I understand you've been playing some new hotness that you wanted to talk a bit more about.
I am really excited to talk about this game. This has been one of the most anticipated games that was released at Essen, and it's another De Vere game called White Castle. It's from the designers of Red Cathedral. I don't know if either of you have played Red Cathedral, but it's certainly...
Yeah, I have.
It's
same.
One of my favourite games. The amount of strategy that you can get into a very small box is amazing to me. I just love that game. So I was so excited to try and get my hands on this game. I was eagerly waiting for it. So what is it about? So it's set in Japan. So this should appeal to you, Lauren. And it's set in 1761. And you have this gorgeous board with the White Castle, which is called Himeji Castle. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, Himeji.
Himeji Castle. And so the leading clan are housed in this castle, and you're a leader of one of the minor clans, and you're trying to insert members of your clan into the castle. So actually into the castle as employees, into the castle grounds as gardeners, and also into the warrior training grounds even, so that you can try and insert some of your influence over them. This game is super tight. It is 9 turns. That's it. You only get 9 goes in the whole game. So actually it's over fairly quickly. Like a 3-player game is only 90 minutes probably, but it really, really hurts your brain in a great way. So you've got 15 meeples. You've got courtiers, you've got gardeners, and you've got warriors. And as I said, you're trying to earn resources, which is rice, iron, and mother of pearl. And you're trying to insert these workers or parts of your members of your clan into these areas of Himeji Castle. And to do that, you're going to use dice, just similar to Red Cathedral. And these dice are placed on little cardboard bridges that you have to build in the game. But the thing is that the dice, you can only take a die from each end of the bridge. And one end is the lowest die and one end is the highest die. So you take a die and you can place it on a spot. There's certain die placement spots in and around the castle. And you can earn money. If the die is higher than the die placement spot value, you can earn money with the difference. Or if a die is low, you'll have to pay money to do it. Certain actions will allow you to insert people into the castle and in these other areas. But once you do that, you're able to then have another action, and that will allow you to do something else. And you'll find that even though it's only 9 turns, it'll probably take you 2 turns maybe to get resources to be able to place people in certain areas. But once you place someone, for example, into a military ground, that military ground will allow you to do an action that's on a white die, and then that white die action will allow you to place someone in the castle, and then you place someone in the castle, and that will allow you to take a card, which will allow you to do something else. And you end up with these glorious long turns, and that might not be for the people that are waiting around, but it's almost a pleasure to watch. They're really not that long, but it's a pleasure to watch, to see people how they can combine these turns to be able to place, because you end up having 15 meeples, to be able to place 15 meeples on this board. And you won't be able to do that without somehow combining these turns. Not just that, but the artwork and everything is perfect to me. It smells really good. And I've even smelt the cards, and they smell really good too. I just loved this game. It plays really well at 2 and 3. I have not played it at 4, but I can't imagine that it wouldn't play well at 4. And I love a game that plays well at 2 where you don't have to have that AI player or do something annoying to have to play it at 2. And the only thing that you can't do in the game at 2 is, and it's got this lovely thing as well, where you can stack dice on top of each other. And so in a 3 and 4 player game, you can stack dice on top of each other. In a 2 player game, you can't, but you still have your 9 turns, and it's just such a delightful game. I don't even know what else to say about it other than it's really delightful, and I enjoyed it so much.
I mean, 9 turns isn't a whole heap. Do you get the feeling at the end of, oh, God, I wish I could do more, I really didn't do anything?
Yeah. That very first game, it was like, oh, my God, I need another 4 turns in this game, because I certainly didn't do it enough. But if you play it a bit more, you soon learn how to combine those turns into longer turns, and, you'll be able to combine it so that you can place 3 meeples in one go, that kind of thing. So it is...
On the flip side of that, I bet you turn 1, you're like, how the hell am I going to get to something great by turn 9? But at turn 4, I bet you're like, wow, I've got this far. I had nothing, and now I'm here. Do you know what I mean? Like, you feel like you've progressed, even though it is super tight. You still feel like you've done some worth, you know?
Yes, there is one thing that is really important in the game, and I've had this in a few games actually, and I'm not sure what I think about it, but in this game, turn order is really important, like really, to me, in my opinion, really important, because if you're last, and you have, because each round you re-roll all the die that are available, and then you order them from lowest to highest. If you have a really crummy roll, you could be left with a lot of 1s if you're in last place, and that can be very unfortunate for the first round, and it can set you back a bit. But there are compensations built into the game, like if you do take a low die, you're compensated by taking, it's called a lantern bonus, but it's almost like a little bit of an income thing that you have on your player board. So there is some compensation for taking low dice. And there are other ways of trying to boost what you have in the game. For example, another thing that it does in the game, at the end of the round, if your gardener is on a bridge with a die that has been left, and there is a die left on that bridge that you are on, you're able to take both actions on that bridge, you're able to take them all over again. And some of them are very good. So it has got other things in it that you could use if you can't sort of work out the turn order thing. But turn order is super important. But it's so good. Man, De Vere, wow. What can I say?
That sounds awesome. I definitely want to give this one a try because I was quite fond of Red Cathedral. For me, that game, I just wasn't sure where it would fit in my collection because it's not quite a filler, but it's not quite the main event. It's just kind of exists in this middle space a little that I'm not really sure when I'd play it or who I'd play it with, but it's definitely a good game and well designed.
Exactly. And I really love it that this plays well at 2, so which would be perfect for you.
Brilliant. Well, I might quickly chat about number 9, which is, Dana, I understand, a title that you've played before.
Yes, love it.
So this game is great. This is a really simple tile laying game that has tiles in the shapes of numbers 0 through to 9. And it kind of has a bit of a roll and write type thing where you're going to flip a card and it's going to tell you which tile to place and everyone's going to place that tile. Maybe Karuba then is a better example. But you're going to be placing tiles and at the end, everyone will have had the same tiles they could place, but is going to end up with a really different arrangement of how they've done it. So you have these really wonky shaped tiles and you're just going to be laying them out on the floor and stacking them up in levels on top of one another so that you don't stack with any overhang or you don't cover any holes. The rub is that you're going to score at the end of the game that number tile times the level it's on. So any numbers that are on the first layer on the table are going to score you 0 because it's that number times 0. And then the next level is going to score you that number times 1, times 2, and then times 3. And if you can get to level 4, well, my God, I don't want to play with you because you're too good at this game. But what is really awesome about it is just how frustratingly, stupidly shaped these tiles are. They're all kind of made in such a way that nothing quite fits like it needs to. And so you have these really awkward arrangements of tiles and you're just trying to lay them out to kind of maximize your points. And you have little interesting micro decisions like this 9 is going to be worth more points, but do I put it on floor the level 0 because it's going to create a better base for me that I can, have high levels and score more points off. There's not a whole heap to say about this game because that's the entire game. I have a set that's got double numbers in it, so you can play with more people or just play bigger games of it. It is such an awesome filler game. If you are also a person that likes really simple to set up and play solo games, if you're the kind of solo gamer that thinks, I just want to play Sprawlopolis or Food Chain Island or something really simple, then this is 100% a game for you, if that's the kind of solo gamer you are. If you like Acropolis, I also think it's really good as well. It's just a really awesome spatial puzzle that I keep coming back to. I think it's excellent. And I just wanted to be able to mention it on the pod that everyone should try it. I think it's too underrated, number 9.
The double numbers are awesome because that's one thing that I thought about the game when I did play it. It wasn't long enough. And I would have liked to have had the double numbers. Yeah, so that's great.
Yeah, it does make for a wonderful spatial puzzle. I've gotten into a habit of when I have breakfast, it's just sat on the table and I'll have a little quick game of number 9 in the morning before I duck off, which is just the best way to start my day.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Bloody zeros, the worst. A hole in the center. They fit with nothing.
That's right.
Yeah. It's, just a lovely little tile layer.
I would like to try this, maybe even with Finn, because it's not super hard, right? And essentially, it's not exactly hard to understand that the higher the number is, the higher the level is, the more points you're going to get. I'm looking at a picture here of some crazy looking stacks of numbers that people are obviously creating when they've played it. And it looks great, like visually appealing as well.
Visually, it's really pretty. You can teach it in 2 to 3 minutes, genuinely. And for work, I'm always looking for games that I can teach in less than 5 minutes and play ideally in less than 15 in the context of a therapy session. And this fits the bill perfectly for some older kids. Definitely kids can grok it, but you also get really satisfying payoffs when you have a number that fits just right on the third level and it scores you huge points. So I think it would be great.
It's something really different as well. I mean, you don't see games that have tiles in the shape of numbers like that, and even with the holes in them. So it's quite unusual, and I think it would be great for kids, actually.
It also has that, it's so simple, why didn't I think of it? Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Alrighty. Awesome. Alrighty. So we've got some. Alrighty. So a quick announcement. On Saturday, the 18th of November, 9 a.m. Australian Western Standard Time and 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, there's a live stream of the entire Ticket to Ride Legends of the West that Nerds of the West are doing. They're doing it to raise money for Game on Cancer, which aims to cure cancer by providing direct funding for cancer research. Everyone who donates goes into the draw to win a copy of Ticket to Ride Legacy, which is a huge game on the hotness at the moment. And there's also other gifts and prizes along the way to be won for those in Australia and New Zealand. You can check them out at twitch.tv/Nerds of the West and youtube.com/Nerds of the West. Alrighty, so now we'll go on to the question of the pod. So we had a question from last week, which was, what game gives you a sense of nostalgia or brings back a happy memory from your past? Dana, did you want to read out some of the responses we have from Facebook and Discord?
So firstly, we have Alex Black from Facebook. Hero Quest for me too. My mum and dad would play when they were in their late 50s. Dad always complained he was made to play the dwarf. I'd open the door and they would retreat their characters.
So many people put Hero Quest. Hero Quest was it was the MVP of the whole childhood memory.
Yeah.
So
it was extremely popular. Ingrid Wright says, as a child, I loved playing a game printed in 1970 called Masterpiece. It's probably discontinued because I haven't seen it since, but it started my love of art, particularly the French Impressionists. Anywhere I travel now, I beeline to the art gallery, and bonus points if they have a painting which featured in that game.
Oh, I played Masterpiece a lot with my parents.
Oh, really?
That game, yeah. I mean, we had a stack of classic board games, but that one hit the table regularly, so nostalgia. It's like a warm, fuzzy feeling.
From Discord, we have Rich. I have great memories of playing categories with all the family. My grandfather was a cheat, and he'd always blame someone for rolling hard letters. There would be tears of laughter as we tried to justify our responses. I have played many games of categories, and I can some of the topics, like trying to find a sandwich filling with the letter Y or something like that. It's a great game.
That's the best part of categories is arguing with your uncle about why yams is not a sandwich filling. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, you came up with one straight away like that. Yams. Oh.
Yeah. I'm all right at categories, but I'm rubbish at justifying why my answers are any good.
And we have Chris Torquium. Growing up with two younger brothers in a household where money was tight, we were often given a board game to share as it was something all of us could play together for a single cost. Hero Quest was my favourite, so I have a lot of nostalgic memories playing games with my brothers. However, for me, the most nostalgic game is euchre. Our family holidays were either camping in Jarvis Bay to our grandparents or to a POW cottage we could stay in at Yamba with my mum's mum, who taught us euchre. Rainy days on these holidays were spent playing cards, most often euchre. I can still remember the checkered pattern lino tiles in the POW cottage and the 70s era table we sat around playing cards with my grandma. And we have Let's Dive In. My family really didn't like board games. I was the only one who seemed to enjoy them, and they would indulge me. One of the only games we played that they didn't mind was Mancala. So any game that has that Mancala-like mechanism of dropping one resource per space always brings back those memories. That and Rat-a-tat-cat I used to play with my best friend who I didn't get to see often, but our time together was always fun. I see Rat-a-tat-cat around sometimes, and it always makes me think of her.
From Twitter, we had David Thompson saying Blood Bowl for sure. Great memories of playing with old friends. Blood Bowl's great. Like, I've only ever played it a couple of times growing up. I don't know if you guys have ever played it. It's the only Warhammer game I've actually played, not just painted miniatures for. And yeah, it was awesome. I like that whole brutal sort of sport.
It's the American football one, right?
I was going to say,
Yes.
Is it played in a bowl?
No, it's not played in a bowl. It's like American football ball, like the Super Bowl.
Oh, that bowl.
But it's like that bowl, not the toilet bowl. Like it's just really cool looking orcs in all these like American football padded armor, but with spikes and chains and all this kind of cool looking stuff. I thought it was cool. We also had Chris Schenk playing my old 80s Fireball Island and other games I saved from my childhood. With my own kids, created some pretty special memories. I also cherish the very old RPG collection I have, and I'm slowly sliding back into RPG mode as the pace of life gets less hectic for me. You might like that new Diablo RPG then.
Oh, that so pumped for that. I will say about Fireball Island, it was like had this huge bit of toy factor, but it was the only one that actually worked. Like there was Mousetrap and it looked really cool, but it never really worked or did what it was meant to.
And Screwball Scramble.
Fireball Island. Oh, yes.
Yeah. It also didn't work.
But Fireball Island did.
Yeah, it did. I've only ever played it a couple of times as a kid, and I think, to be honest, we just set it up to roll the ball down. Do you know what I mean? Like, just for the fun.
Oh, yeah, no one actually plays the proper game.
Yeah, I never played it properly, so. And Dwarlism from Instagram said, funny you're asking this question today, as Return to Dark Tower is out for delivery to me as I type this right now. I maybe played the original game once with my older cousins when I was a tween. They needed another player and I was lucky enough to be picked. It'll be almost 40 years since I last played that game. Other than Dark Tower, Hero Quest hits me in the old memory feels as well. Yeah, I never played
a lot of
any of
Hero Quest.
Yeah, Hero Quest, it dominated everything. Hero Quest is like the MVP GOAT of the 80s. Like, everyone loved it, so... Man, we didn't
I've
really...
not played Return to Dark Tower.
No, neither have I. We played like a lot of Scrabble and Monopoly as kids, but we also... My uncle used to make games up like all the time. So we'd be at restaurants and stuff, and everyone would be having normal adult conversations, and we would be like, how far can you throw a grain of salt from your table to the other table? Can you get it in their cup and stuff like that? And just random dexterity games. Like, let's try and build a tower as tall as you can out of all the cutlery and things on the table. But you place your thing and then you get to pick the next thing that someone has to put on there. So obviously you're picking all the weirdest shaped, most unbalanced objects to screw over the next player. So yeah, it was good fun. Like, I like.
That's literally a game. That's literally a game. I'm sure of it.
Pretty much.
That, one that's been published. I mean, so
yeah. We played a lot of Rummy Cub.
Oh, I love Rummy Cub, and I still play Rummy Cub with my 82-year-old mum.
Oh, the best part about Rummy Cub is like the hubris of thinking that you can rearrange the entire board to fit one spare tile, but still remembering how to rearrange the whole thing back.
That's the problem.
To its original position.
That's the problem with playing with my mum, is that these turns, as she's getting older, these turns are becoming more and more difficult for her to remember. And she goes through a period of time where she tries to do it and then can't remember where the tiles were originally. and the kids sort of come in and start helping her and things like that. So yeah,
we've got, I don't know if the game actually comes with a bag, but we've got my parents' version of Rummy Cub had this old, it looks like your nan's cushion, like floral zip bag with all the tiles in. And I swear, as a kid, I thought that came with the game.
No, it doesn't come with a bag. It should.
I went to my friend's house and I was like, well, where's your little like nan zip bag? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But that game is so good.
I used to play my fondest memory of a game is playing with my dad, who's passed away now. But we would play, he's Italian, and we would play a game called Scorpa. And it's got these beautiful cards that are, the cards are actually made in Treviso in Italy, which is where my father was actually born or was from. And it's a very basic card game, really, but the cards are so lovely. And the times spent playing these games with my father are so wonderful. And if he got a good card in his hand, he would do, you're probably going to think this is just really gross, but he would lick the back of the card and stick it on his forehead. And then sometimes I would be looking at my hand of cards and suddenly I'd notice that he had, this specific ace, or something like that. It was stuck to his forehead.
Oh, I love that.
It's not very COVID safe, but it was pretty funny. I've tried doing it now at home with the kids, but they don't like it. They think it's gross.
Got to get some plastic cards. Is that why people started sleeving their cards?
Yeah,
sort
probably.
Sticking them to foreheads.
But you don't even need to lick them, okay? If it's sweaty and you're in Queensland, you just stick them on your forehead. It's fine.
Oh, there you go.
It's always sweaty in Queensland, mate.
All right. Our new question of the pod that we want to hear from you is, how do you feel about paid reviews in board game content? This has been...
Who wants to go first?
Some contentious news. There's some contentious news about this one.
Laura's trying to cause trouble, everybody. It's her idea.
That's it. I'm going to come in, light the whole place on fire, and then just nope out of here.
Yeah.
I've definitely got some thoughts, but I might jump over to you first, Dana. I'm curious what you think.
We're all avoiding this. We're passing it around like the potato in Two Rooms and a Boom. It's like, there you go. You take that.
Alrighty. I'll go first. I'll be the potato.
Go.
All right. I think that there is an idea that doing things in the board game space for money is somehow like dirty or taboo or bad. I think that because it's a hobby for so many people, the idea that people could profit off that is something that a lot of the community feels quite weird about. And so I definitely think that it differs from other hobby spaces in that people need to be really how do I say this? I think that people often feel like content creators should do things out of a love for the hobby and this kind of higher purpose, and it can't also be a career for those individuals. There's not much money to be made in this space. Let's not. So the people who are profiting, aren't running to the bank. But I do think that there's definitely weirdness to the hobby about others making money. Now, that being said, do I think that, people should get paid for content and not state and not disclose those things? Absolutely not. If you're getting paid to do something, you should be disclosing that. And I think that's where the difference between a review versus a preview is really important. So just previewing, showing a game because you've been paid to do that versus reviewing and providing some sort of critical opinion. But I know we were also talking a bit before about being not just getting paid to do things, but also being sent games as well, and how that can kind of muddy the water. Do you have thoughts on that, Adrian?
Yeah, well, my opinion is actually brought to you by 196 Very Berry. It's the new flavour that's coming out next month. It's not out yet, but it will be out soon.
We've literally mentioned that like 8 times on the podcast.
And the 10th time they will become a sponsor. You wait.
I need it. I need it to happen.
We'll be decked head to toe in lemon gear.
Just a yellow shell suit with a lemon hat. I mean, I'm the same as you. I think that there is this real stigma about it. And I remember not so long ago, arguments about, well, this is a paid preview, this is a paid review, and what the differences are and stuff. And for me personally, I don't tend to get bogged down in that stuff too much. I don't really watch a lot of other content. I tend to just do a little look at it. I buy it. If I like it, I'll talk about it, and that's it. But we do get sent games to review, and we're very lucky in the fact that any of the games that we get sent, if there's 8 of us, right? We're able to assign those to a person that we think will actually enjoy those games, because if we don't think we're going to enjoy it, then we just don't accept the game. But we're also lucky in the fact that once we've done our content, we're able to put that game in our local libraries and have other people love it, even if we didn't. And some games that are in our libraries, we don't talk about because we just didn't enjoy them at the time. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad game. It just means it wasn't for me. Like, I reckon that the Magic the Gathering people would probably be real mad that I was hyping up Lorcana and be like, he's an idiot. This game's a bag of trash, but I love it. I thought it was great. So everyone's opinion is completely different. But yeah, I mean, I was reading about some legislation around it and how it started and how the whole content has to be announced, and that how you have to say on there, this is a paid review and all that stuff. And that was actually quite an interesting scandal back in the 1950s is where it started, through radio. Yeah, I mean, we tend to always disclose if we got sent this game or whatever. But yeah, as far as paid reviews, I think paid previews is the thing that I'd like to see more. Like, this is the game, this is what it does, as opposed to a paid review where someone's saying, oh man, I love this game, it's so high, like and subscribe, blah, 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 this game's amazing. I think that, I don't know, you can kind of tell when it's not from the heart. That's how I feel about it. So
yeah, what do you think, Dana?
I don't have a problem with paid reviews or paid reviews or any paid content, provided they disclose it, because to me, I have a choice to watch it or accept what their opinion is, and that's up to me. And if I choose to watch it, well, good luck to them. So I really don't have a problem with it at all, as long as it's disclosed, which I don't think there's anyone that I can think of that doesn't really disclose it, and any content creators. And and unlike you, Adrian, I watch a lot of board game content online, a lot. I simply don't have a problem with it, and I think it's great that other people can earn money, to be honest, talking about board games. So, like I said, I'm a big girl. I can make my own decisions, so it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I think that's super valid. I definitely agree that as long as people disclose it, I have no dramas people making money or their livelihood in this space. I guess there are some blurred lines between, what's paid. Is it getting cash to do something, or being just sent games because people, don't want to say bad things because they don't want to tarnish a relationship they have with a publisher or a designer to get access to more games and things like that. So there's definitely lots of gray areas in it, but we want to hear what you guys think. So let us know what you guys think about paid reviews in board game content. All right. So now just want to give a quick shout out to our Patreons and our amazing community, because it wouldn't be possible without their support. So just want to give a shout out to Rain, Richard Cordell, Jolly Swagman Games, and Julian Ridden. Thank you guys so much for your support. It really helps us make this podcast possible. If you want to support the podcast, you can always go to patreon.com/Board Game BBQ, sign up to donate and get access to a whole bunch of exclusive content just for our Patreons. There are many other ways that you can support the podcast that don't include donating. You can go to Apple Podcasts and leave a star rating and a review for us, or Spotify's new star rating system. It only takes a few seconds of your time, but it means the absolute world to us. You can also get involved in the Board Game BBQ community by joining us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. There's always, of course, our Discord community as well, which is incredibly active and chatter happening all the time there. So get involved, support the show, and links to our socials are in the show notes. All right, now on to swearing of an oath. So I might start off with you, Dana. How did you go on your most recent oath?
I'm dreading this. Oh God. I'm only new and I've already failed.
That's okay. I'm going to follow you up with a disappointment as well. So you go and then I'll go.
When I swore this oath, I had forgotten that I was doing 2 podcasts in a row. And so there was no way I was going to get this game played. So my original oath was to play Pulsar 2849. And look, it's still sitting on the shelf. I have not had an opportunity to play it. So hopefully by the next one, I will be able to play it. But for my new oath, so obviously I will do to Pulsar 2849, but I'm going to add to that we're hoping to do a little bit or try a little bit of video content. And I am aiming to have this video studio set up, ready to go. And I'm going to take some photographs of it when it's ready to go. But I've got some equipment coming. My husband doesn't know about that yet. And yeah, we're going to try a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But that's my new oath, Pulsar 2849 and the video setup.
Nice.
All right. Well, maybe we can sandwich some of these disappointments in with a success. Adrian, how did you go with your oath?
Well, I have a couple on the back burner that I will get to. The Phoenix getting painted and stuff. It's just not going to happen until Christmas. I've just flat out. But teaching a game on the plane. Whew. I got some flack for that on Twitter. People were saying I was an idiot and don't do it. Do not do that. Leave the people alone with their headphones on. So I was like, man, maybe I'll try and like do it in the lounge before I leave, on the flight. And there was a lady, like 2 ladies actually. One would have been, 30, and then the other lady would have been 55, 60. And they were both doing a crossword. And I was like, this is going to be easy. We can play like a word game. Like I'll just get So Clover out. I walked over and introduced myself and said why I was trying to convince them to play the game. And, it was for podcast reason, blah, 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 blah. And then the older lady just went, no. And then looked away and kept doing a crossword. And I was like, okay, cool. That was the intro. Hopefully it goes a little bit better on the plane. And I sat down and the lady next to me instantly headphones on, book, doesn't want to engage, like looking out the window while reading her book. And I was like, well, you're not going to work. So I'll look to the other side and there was a lady there and we just got chatting. And then I asked if she'd like to try this game, So Clover. And we ended up playing 3 games back to back. But I had to cheat because it's a co-op game, right? And I thought it said desert, but it said dessert. So my clues were not great. They weren't angled in the best light. So I was like, when the lady put them all in, I was like, yeah, you totally got that. That's so good. Because I didn't want to look like a dum-dum and go, oh, it says desert. Oh, dessert. Oh, no. Oh, what have I done? So, yeah, it was an interesting first game, but I, focus mode initiated after that and played 2 more games and it was great. Really enjoyed it. It took away a lot of the flight time just sitting there doing a whole lot of nothing, listening to music or whatever, but it was fun. Really enjoyed it. So,
do you think people were like, did some of the ladies think you were trying to pick them up? Do you reckon?
I mean, possibly. Definitely possibly. I mean,
give off some weird vibes.
Yeah.
It's a bold approach, leading with, do you want to play a board game?
It is. And especially because
board game. Oh.
Yeah, and a lot of people haven't played board games. Do you know what I mean? As in, they've played the Monopoly and the Scrabbles and stuff. They would assume that, I don't want to do this. I hate board games. Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. Enjoyed it. So Clover was a win. So there we go. But my next oath is one that I'm a bit scared about doing. I know I'm going to rope Dana in because she said she's going to come around and play this game with me. But it's hard because, like, I heavily rely on Def to teach these games, right? you said it yourself, Dana. He is a fantastic teacher. And
Yeah.
I aspire to be like that, but it's never going to happen. But I muddle my way through it and try my best. And usually I would never undertake something so crazy unless I had played it multiple times, because I just get nervous and concerned that everyone's like, man, he doesn't even know how to play this game. He's got half the rules wrong and all that kind of stigma that comes with that. But I'm playing it with friends, so I'm sure they'll be fine and support me through it. But I backed.
Are you talking about us? Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
That I'm going to support
Yes.
you? Oh.
I hope so. I backed Shikoku 1889, which is one of the most gorgeous looking 18xx games I've seen. It's really nice looking. It's the most basic, like it's super simple. It's super entry level. And I have actually played it on the 18xx website a couple of times, three-handed, solo by myself, like run through the motions, done a few rounds and got used to how the mechanics work. And then I'm going to actually do that on the table next weekend. I was going to do it this weekend, but I just was too busy grinding meat. So I will actually try and learn this game next week and teach this to Dana on the 24th of November or 25th of November on the weekend. So it's a couple of weeks away, so I might be on the pod before then. But yeah, this is a big undertaking because, like I said, usually for something like this, I would really heavily rely on Def to just do everything, and I just sit there and enjoy my time and eat food and have a few drinks. But everything I feel like is on me to get this one over the line. So that's the plan.
I've got to tell you, I wasn't even listening to what you're saying because I'm still trying to understand you. I was too busy because I was grinding meat.
That wasn't a euphemism for anything. Like, I had like a bunch of rumps and briskets, and I ground them up and make beef burger patties, which I suggest everyone should try. It's so good. But yeah, I'm worried about this oath, but I'm sure everyone's going to be real cool and calm and, bear me through it.
I'm going to use that excuse with some friends that I can't go to a birthday party. Sorry, I'm grinding meat. See what they say.
Hey, the photos are in the Discord. It's pretty good. Like, I had a great time. The burgers taste great. So, at least I got mine done, mate.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, don't be throwing stones in glass houses. Us failures over here. Alrighty, so now to kind of air my shame. So I, again, am going to blame the super spreader event that was South by Southwest because I had set aside time to finish Pandemic Legacy Season 1 with my partner, James, but we were just sick as a dog the whole week, the pair of us. So we had it set up on the table for like 2 weeks. I'm not Paul Lauren.
No, not Paul Lauren.
Yeah, stuff her, but man, James. So had it set up on the table for a full week and a half before we just admitted defeat. We got 2 games in and we've got 3 more to go, assuming we don't lose any, which I don't think we will. But there's apparently a few kind of twists and things that happen in those final scenarios that I'm really itching to see and have successfully avoided spoilers for like 2 years. So need to finish that, but I am going to double down, and this might be ill-advised, but I'm going to double down with 2 because 1 I'm pretty sure I'm going to get done this week, and so I'll double down with a second. So 1 is to play the backstage expansion from Shakespeare, which is just like a little deck of cards that adds some more actors to that game. So really want to try that out. And the other one is that there is an expansion coming up for Clans of Caledonia, and that is available now to try out on TTS leading up to the campaign, which I believe is this month. And I have played that expansion solo, but I'm going to make another oath to try play that multiplayer with someone else on TTS. Adrian might put his hand up for that one. I might rope him into that. Done. Sorted.
You're hardcore, right. Lauren.
Oh, yeah. If I fail hard.
By the end of the month, she'll have 6 oaths,
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm just going to collect them. Got to catch them all. Alrighty. Well, that is us for the pod. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much to Adrian and Dana for joining me. Had a blast as always.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren. Thanks, Adrian.
Thanks, Dana.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It was so funny. Oh, I couldn't get it done because I was grinding meat. But not even to say, because I was making burgers. Like,
No, I just said that. Why not? I'm sure someone was going to say something.
I was just gonna leave it. I was just gonna leave it, and not say anything.
Dana's face, she looked like she was trying to win a chess match. She was concentrating, what did he say?
Grinding meat?